Hello everybody, I'm Krasi Attasio. I'm sidereal astrologer, and today I will talk about the intuition and the psychic abilities, the clairvoyance in the horoscope, how to distinguish this in the horoscope, how to find out whether somebody is intuitive or is having clairvoyant capabilities. I am very interested in this topic, and I made a research. I collected cases, horoscopes of 60 really clairvoyant, psychic people, and I have conclusions based on the knowledge from the ancient Mesopotamian astrology, where the emphasis is given on the fixed stars. So, I would like to say, before explaining you how I see this in the horoscope, that it is not enough only to look at the planetary positions. It is not enough in the chart to look only at the houses or rulers of the houses and how the planets are placed, but it is absolutely necessary to look at the fixed stars. And we may have people being intuitive, and we may make such conclusion if based only on the planetary positions or especially of the moon. But really psychics, people which are clairvoyant, we will not have if the fixed stars of importance which give clairvoyance and psychic abilities are not present on important positions in the horoscope. Now, what is the difference, of course, between being intuitive and having psychic abilities? Most of us can be intuitive. We all have this inner voice to one to different degree, which is telling us what will happen in the future, which is giving us advice, which decision to take, which is telling us which person is good or bad for us, which is making us distinguish good from right from wrong, good from bad. So this is this inner voice which comes from God, which is our connection with the spirit world, with God. This is really our link, our connection with God. But psychics are people which have this developed to a higher degree, which really see spirit, which see beyond, which they can have different. This can be manifested in many different ways, and you know this, and this can be seen through special fixed stars in the horoscope. Now, intuition. How to see intuition? Well, of course, the moon is our mind. The moon is also representing our soul. The moon is where the Akashis, or part of the Akashis, the collective memory of the humanity, and the solar system is being archived. So yes, depending first of all on the position of the moon, we see how one is collecting information from above, and this is how we judge on one's intuition. Where should the moon be in order to judge whether somebody is intuitive or not? Well, if you have the moon on a on own sign, like the moon in Cancer in the third house, very often such people will have predictive dreams, will have powerful intuition, will have these qualities, this powerful inner voice and connection with God. The moon can also be in the nebula of Cancer. So when the moon is in the nebula of Cancer, and the nebula of the sidereal Cancer is between the 11th and the 14 degrees. In Cancer, this is the belly of the Cancer, the stomach of the Cancer. Of course, the person will also be very intuitive, most probably to clairvoyant degrees. But also this nebula can create challenges in this person's life, loneliness, turbulences of different character. So yes, why the moon in the third house is very powerful? Because this is, in the ancient astrology, the third house is called the house of the goddess. This is the house where the moon is joyful. So I've seen many horoscopes of people with moon in Cancer or in Taurus, or even moon in Aquarius in the special sacred degrees, which I spoke about in another video. And these people are very intuitive. They would tell me that they had dreams with powerful predictive values. Other place of the moon could be the 12th house, the 8th house. Very powerful is the invisible moon, the black moon. So imagine the moon is invisible, hidden in the rays of the sun. In the mythology, the lunar god descended in the underworld to solve the destinies of the dead. So the moon is exactly dealing with this, with information from the akashis, or information coming from the dead spirits, that is helping people be very intuitive. This can be judged to a degree as a clairvoyance if other factors, additional factors, are present in the horoscope to say that one with invisible moon in Cancer, let's say, in the in the 8th or even the 9th house or the 12th house, is clairvoyant if we have, for example, on the ascendant, a very important star of spirituality, or a star which will be very esoteric, like the stars from the 20th degrees on in Pisces, for example. But I will tell you about the stars in a second. Very important are the lunar nodes. People which have moon conjoined with the lunar nodes, especially Ketu, the lunar node, which is the tail of the dragon, which is related to our previous karma, previous incarnations, previous experiences. Such people can also be very intuitive, and especially if this is happening in the 3rd, in the 12th, 8th house, 9th house. Some say, according to the Vedic astrology, that the 4th house would have the same value, but I doubt this a little bit, and I don't have such examples, not even one. But with moon in the 3rd house, I have really examples of people which are very, very intuitive. Saturn, of course, is the lord of karma, lord of time. Saturn is the very slow one who is bringing us to our past lives. Of course, Saturn on important position can, and aspect with the moon, can be responsible for very powerful intuition. The moon in the sacred degrees of Aquarius, which I said, I look at my other video, which is about sacred degrees in astrology. Moon conjoined Fomalhaut, the royal star of the spiritual priest, can also denote high level of intuition. And in the sidereal zodiac, the Fomalhaut is in the 10 degrees Aquarius. Just again to make the same brackets, that if you like to look at the sidereal degrees and the real images on the sky, you can easily go to astro.com, opt for sidereal chart, Ayanamsha Fagan Bradley EQ house system. This is just if you like to easily see how the sky images look also on the sidereal zodiac. Other spiritual, intuitive degrees are those of the nebulas. You have nebulas which, all nebulas that we are aware of, have different nature, different characters, and I will not go into detail. Just in general, the nebulas denote intuition, spirituality, connection with the spirit world in a different way. Nebulas can be on the dark side, meaning that people can be more attracted to the bad spirit world, can be also very white. Take, for example, the 18 degrees of the Sagittarius, and this is the nebula of Sagittarius around the Milky Way, and this is a very white nebula, which is making people attracted to such intuition and spirituality, which is white, on the white side. And then you may have the nebula in Cancer, 11th to the 14 degrees Cancer, which, according to the other features of the horoscope, you look at many the complete chart, may not necessarily be white. Then you have the Pleiades, 3rd, 6 degrees. I spoke about the Pleiades in a separate video. You can look at this. And this nebula, once again, may be, depending on other features of the horoscope, may be white, maybe that the person is attracted to the black realm. Then you have the 30 degrees, which is the sting of the Scorpio, and this is a nebula, which may not be that wide, but certainly the people will be interested in spirituality, will be intuitive. They also may practice natural medicine or be natural healers. And you have 25, 28 degrees Capricorn, again nebula, responsible to spirituality. And often, if other factors are present, this particular part of the Capricorn can denote clairvoyance, can denote psychic abilities. And this particular nebula, yeah, is ruled by Saturn. And remember what we said about Saturn. Saturn is the one who brings us into the past lives, into also Saturn in the third house can denote very powerful intuition, rarely dreams, but can be responsible for the powerful intuition of the people. And then we have the nebula in Sagittarius 17 and 16 degrees, which I think I mentioned, and also the Milky Way, the 5 degrees of Sagittarius, and which is the center of the Milky Way, very powerful in terms of spirituality. People will always be very spiritual. And then you have the exit, which is the 5 degrees of Gemini. Again, spiritual degrees. People will certainly be very spiritual, most probably attracted to the white. You also can have configurations of planets. I've noticed that often when you have conjunction of Venus and Mercury in the third house and existing other additional factors in the horoscope which support that, people will also be very spiritual. So as a first most important feature, we need to look and intuitive, let's say, not only spiritual but also intuitive. Let's say that we need to look as the most important feature at the position of the moon, and then of course at other additional factors. And now to come to the most interesting part, and this is the part of the psychic abilities, people which really see the future, people which really see spirits. This can have different manifestations. People like famous mediums. You have even contemporary famous mediums that you see on the TV. I will give you example. I will talk again about fixed stars, but I will give you an example of the horoscope of a amazing medium, and this was Chico Xavier, the Brazilian medium, the one with the good heart, the one that was helping people, had very unhappy life, but was the good medium. He was writing books, and all the profit that he was collecting, generating from the books, was given to help the poor. So Chico Xavier, we will not make complete analysis of his horoscope. Just we will look at the point which is pointing towards psychic abilities, because this is not only that in his horoscope I saw these important features. I saw it in the other horoscopes which were subject of my research. Until I'm explaining you what I see in his horoscope as a signal for clairvoyance of psychic abilities, I'm looking at my other screen and you can see the image of his horoscope also next to me right now. So we said without Capricorn existing sidereal power, Capricorn powerfully existing on a key position in the horoscope, we cannot talk about powerful clairvoyance and psychic abilities. In the case of Chico Xavier, and in many of other cases of the 60 horoscopes of proven clairvoyant individuals which I analyzed, they have powerful Capricorn. What is Capricorn? This is the goat fish in antiquity, and the goat is having the horns. In the horns, you have the powerful star Altair, and 7, 8, these 2 degrees where the horns are, and the star Altair are a sign sure on a powerful psychic abilities, because the real mediumship, The real clairvoyance, to a very high degree, comes from sidereal Capricorn, astronomical Capricorn. So, as you see, look at the image next to me, the horoscope of Sico Xavier. We have Capricorn rising, the horns of Capricorn. Well, the horns are placed, which is especially of the goldfish of Capricorn, which is having a complex and very multi-layered nature. So yes, he got his psychic abilities, clairvoyant talents, but he had also a very difficult life. The moon is in the ninth house, and it is in the 9 degrees of Sagittarius, very near the large path of the Milky Way. And we said the Milky Way is what it is: powerful, spiritual, intuitive connection. Look at the powerful, again, position of Jupiter. And Jupiter is very near Vinda Matrix, and this is a star, only 1 degree away from a star, which is marking the wings, the angelic wings of the heavenly woman, and this is Virgo. So this is a sign that this guy was also doing high philosophical teachings, because he was also teaching people. Look also that this was not an easy load for him, because the moon in the 12th house, placed like this, he lost his mother very early. And look also that Jupiter, in opposition to the sun, is in a heliacal phase called cosmic setting, which phase rarely gives children. And this person never had children. I will make separate video on indication for marriage, children, all these different cases. So, as we said, without Capricorn, without Altair, without the Nebula of Capricorn, 25, 28 degrees, we can absolutely not talk about powerful clairvoyance. Jupiter is helping from the 9th house very much. The moon being in the 9th house in the nebula of Sagittarius is helping very much. The ruler of the ascendant, Capricorn, Saturn, is invisible. When invisible, this is a planet that had other meaning. When invisible, this is not the typical nature of Saturn that we know. This Saturn will be much into esoterics, occultism, will be much more clairvoyant than if Saturn is having his normal heliacal phase. Also, the Sun is very near Alpharas. All these stars, which are from the 20th degree on in Pisces, are very powerful, very spiritual, very intuitive. Mercury, ruling his 9th house of spirituality, is in a heliacal phase, make his mind very preoccupied with spirituality and connected with the spirit, illuminated. And by the way, the word illuminated has its roots from Old Babylonian, Akkadian, from Illum, which means God, connected to God. So this was only one example, which to me is representative, because now I have in mind the horoscope of contemporary clairvoyant psychic in Bulgaria, whom I visited personally, and she personally gave me her horoscope, and she has powerful Capricorn on midheaven, the nebula of Capricorn in midheaven. So I would conclude, based on so many cases of because many people are intuitive, and we are sort of losing the boundary between being intuitive and really psychic and clairvoyant. So without these features, people can be very good mediums, but really the ones that are only a few in the world that are really clairvoyant would need to be connected with Capricorn. Of course, you receive one gift and you lose so many other things in your life, like is the case with Chico Xavier, with the Bulgarian woman, that maybe at the time I will show you her horoscope in order not to make this video too lengthy. But without the fixed stars, only if we look at the planets, there is no way to conclude that somebody is clairvoyant or has psychic abilities. Neither will the lunar nodes help enough in order to make such conclusion. I made similar analysis of horoscopes of people, of homosexual people, to see how this is visible in the horoscope, because again, you have many versions, but once again, the fixed stars are the ones who play a role there. And the other research, which maybe I will present you in other separate videos, is about people with autism. I collected many cases of autism from all over the world. People from different Facebook groups were helpful to send me cases. So once again, the fixed stars being so high in the hierarchy of the planetary spheres are the ones that really need to give their influence in order to make a conclusion whether someone is such or such. So with this, I'm concluding my example of how to judge on the level of intuition or clairvoyance of somebody in the horoscope. And we'll be happy to get your comments and proposals for future topics, maybe, because this is also a great pleasure for me. And also, your questions are welcome. Thank you.